You're Bob, he's
Yeah.
Ray, okay, and Anthony. And then we also have Michael Ferguson, who is our new president for the Lake Country Republican Club. He was also there. So, you guys want to get up and talk and introduce yourself?
Yeah. I tell you what, we wanted, the strong thing about that meeting was, you know, we knew we weren't gonna get Louis Gomer, but we wanted Jeb to support Louis Gomer, and he didn't do it. And so that kind of, that really, you know, it ticked me off, and it ticked our people off, because we have a steering committee, and by the way, I'm Ray Meyers, I'm with the Coffin County Tea Party, and we have a steering committee that Jeb kind of picked back, about 2 or 3 years ago, and we meet with Jeb probably every 2 to 3 months. Sit down, only 7 or 8 of us, and sit down and talk to him about issues that are coming up, and where we want this to go or that to go, and so forth. And so every one of us, to the letter, on that steering committee called Jeb's office and said, we want Louis. Well, we knew that what Jeb had done back in November, he had said, well, I'm going to go with whoever the Republican nominee is, and I'm committed to that, and so that's where I'm going to stay. Now, we already knew that. We knew what he had said. But we wanted to move him over to the Texas delegation and say, look here, you need to support our guy. Everybody, and everybody that I knew in my part of the district over in Coffin County, Van Zandt County, Rockwall County, Ellis County, we were all pushing Louis. And we thought, well, you know, it looks to me like that Jeb ought to at least stand with his brother over here in Wood County, Smith County. And he didn't do it. I called, my contact is the one I talked to, is Philip Smith. Philip Smith's a great guy. He works for Jeb. He's over in the Athens office. And I told him, I said, are you telling me that even with all these calls, that Jeb is not going to consider? He said, no, he won't consider. So, after the vote, and during the vote, we were watching Glenn Beck, The Blaze, that day, the day of the vote. And I don't know if you ever got to see Glenn when he talked to Congressman Chris Stevens from Utah. Did any of you see that? Congressman Chris Stevens from Utah. Glenn had him on there, and he was asking him, why are you voting for Boehner? We want Louis. Glenn Beck was saying, we want Louis. And so, and he knows this Chris Stevens personally. And Chris Stevens had told him, he said, Glenn, they told him this when he was running for office, not during this Boehner deal, but when he was running for office, he said, Glenn, if I ever do anything wrong out of line that you think I'm out of line, you come down on me like a bag of bricks. Glenn had him on TV, and he said, buddy, this is your bag of bricks. He said, well, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this. You know, he's up there, Stevens is up there, and he says, no. He said, you're lying. You're lying to the American people. He said, you got the greatest platform in the world today for conservatives right here on this TV, and you're standing here telling me what you're going to do, and you're not going to do it. And he said, oh, yeah, we will. He said, no. He said, I don't believe you. Oh, it was a great interview. I mean, and the thing, what was so great about it, is Glenn Beck, was bringing out how the American people, how us Texans really felt about what was going on in Washington, D.C. It just killed us to sit there and see all this going on. So, here's what we did, our little Coffin County Tea Party. We watched all of that mess, and we decided, we met as a group, and we've got 13 people on our steering committee. We met as a group, and we said, okay, Jeb, we're going to send you a message, buddy. This is what we want. We wrote it out that night, and all voted on it. All voted on it. and it said that the Coffin County Tea Party would no longer support Jeb Hensley. We would no longer endorse Jeb Hensley. We would no longer put him on a voter guide. We would no longer do fundraisers. We would no longer do telephone calls. We would no longer do block walking. And we want, and we voted, and we said, we're not gonna do that unless you come down here on our turf, on our place, in our own little community, and you talk to us and you look us in the eye and you tell us why you didn't vote for Louis Goldman. We sent it out the next day and we gave him 5 or 6 days to respond. He responded in 30 minutes. He responded in 30 minutes. He said, wherever y'all want me to be, I'll be there.
Oh, right, after the fact.
After the fact, yes.
After the
Well, now, listen. All of a sudden, the ripple started shaking the earth up in Washington, D.C. And Glenn Beck's the one that really got it going. When we sent that message up there, then we got these phone calls, and we were calling. I mean, we melted the phone lines that day. The Capitol switchboard shut down. And so, anyway, we got this message back from Jeff. I'll be there. Said, okay. Now, what he sent back was, he said, well, this is going to be a little family meeting like we've always had. I said, no, Jeff. It's not going to be a little family meeting like we've always had. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to invite our steering committee who voted on you to kick you out, try to find somebody else that'll do it right. I said, other than that, I said, I want to invite at least 1 or 2 from every county in Congressional District 5. There's 7 counties. I'm going to invite somebody from everybody, every county in Congressional District 5 to come down here and sit down here in this meeting and sit here and look you in the eye and find out why you didn't do what we wanted you to do. You work for us. We don't work for you. We are not your groupie. You work for us. So out of the 7 counties, we had 6 representatives, at least 1 from each representative come, and he came. Is it Mike? Mike came. He was there. And the way we set it up when we came, I got up and I kind of set it up. I talked first. I got up and set it up, and I basically told Jeff. I said, well, the reason we're here is because you didn't vote for Louis. We wanted you to vote for Louis. We know why you didn't. You said you told us that. But I said, Jeff, we're at the cliff. We backed ourselves up, and the cliff is right there. And if the country takes one more step back, we're off. We're gone. This country's over and done. And it's because of compromise. And you keep telling us next time. Oh, we're going to do it next time. Now we got to wait till we get another president. Okay. Next time. I said, this is it. There's no more next time. And I set it up for him to have to come up here and look those people in the eye. Oh, he got pissed off. He got pissed off because we invited 1 press in there. 1 lady from the press. They tried every way in the world to nullify that. They called me up the day before the meeting. No, we can't have the press there because we're going to sit down and we're going to talk. It's going to be a family discussion, and I might want to say things that I don't want the press to hear. But I said, Timna Rutledge from the Northeast Texas newspaper is on our team. She's one of us. We've always invited her. I said, no, she's coming. All right. Well, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, she's coming. I invited her. She's coming. She came. She sat through it. She did the greatest little newspaper article you've ever seen. And guess what Jeff did? The next day he called her. And he said, and I found out, I got a copy of this. I should have brought it with me. I got it. And during the presentation, Jeb slammed Louis on his leadership.
Oh.
Huh? Slammed Louis. Oh. When Timna came out with that, and we put it out on the internet, oh, the phone calls from that office in Washington, D.C. Oh, you can't do this. Timna, he finally got Timna on the phone. And he said, Timna, if you just won't put that in your newspaper, I will give you a one-on-one interview, any place you want to have it, and it'll just be you and I, and I'll answer any question you want me to.
Wow. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no media.
Yeah, no, guess what she did? She said, okay, Jeff. She said,
You wanna
I'll
do
do
this?
that.
If you want to do this.
But she said, you know
I'm trying
what,
to
I'm not
tweet it
taking
out.
that off the internet till 5 o'clock this afternoon. Well, about 5 o'clock that afternoon, it was on Breitbart. It was on all over the state.
We gotta
So it's out
turn it
there,
back.
but she got her cake and she
And
got to eat it too. So good for Timothy.
Just grab up your.
Now, what did we get?
Oh, and then you had Joey.
Oh, yeah, I said that. Then we let him get up there, if you'll recall. He got up there, and when he got through, he went through the whole place. One thing that he did that just went all over me. He got up there and he spent about 10 minutes telling us how conservative he was.
That's their favorite word.
All his bills.
Oh, everything I've done. It's all about me. Look what I've done. Let me tell you guys something. You know this. If you got to tell somebody how conservative you are, you got a problem. And I told him, I said, Louis doesn't have to tell us how conservative he is. I said that right in front of the whole group. I said, we don't have to worry about Louis. We don't have to worry about Ted Cruz. We know. So what's your problem, boy? You know?
Well, he's been selling that for the last 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
Hot
Well,
and heavy.
now, okay. The day after, 2 days after that, 2 days after, I guess it was, Monday.
It was on Monday.
Get a press release. Get a press release straight out of Jeff Hensling's office. Says, the president's executive action on immigration is an unconstitutional power grab that tramples on the authority of the Constitution and gives Congress, the people, the elected representatives, over immigration. It ignores the separation of powers, and we cannot let it stand. The House has heard the American people, and we're on it.
Yeah.
that was after he met with us.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the best
And I asked
comedy
him-
routine.
I
going.
asked him during that meeting, I said, Jeff, you'll remember this. I said, Jeff, I said, had you rather have John Boehner as the Speaker of the House or the people in this room? You choose. He didn't say anything. I said, Jeb, I'll answer that. I said, I'd rather have these people right here. I said, they're the ones that elected you. I said, they know better. They wouldn't be here if there wasn't a problem. So we got his attention. He came out with this, and then now this week, probably tomorrow or Wednesday, he's going to come out of his office, call me and say, Ray, we're going to come out and we're going to stop Obamacare.
Right.
We'll see how
Just
the
like
vote
Boehner
goes
said about
tomorrow.
the purse.
Is it
They
tomorrow?
answer
Yeah.
the question.
Is it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. and
Okay.
They're already.
Now,
spending-
his office has called me and said, now, Ray, we're going to pass this in the House, but we really want y'all to burn up those Senate lines. So who do we have to call? Well, we got to call everybody and John Cornyn. We don't have to call Ted.
No.
Ted's our guy. So everybody and John Cornyn. But the thing about this, I mean, I got to tell y'all one little last story about this. I mean, we got his attention. He had never. Have y'all ever seen, you guys have had Hensling as far as a representative. He comes around, he does his town halls and everything. And it's always his town hall, he'll run in there, he'll do his thing, and he'll answer, he likes to filibuster. You know, he'll come in and talk, and then we really don't have that much time for questions. He's got to get back home and see his kids. Because he don't get to go, y'all heard that before, I'm sure.
Don't be mean.
He's being
I'm
honest.
telling you, being honest, I'm telling you what he does. He's done this, I mean, I've been around him now for 4 years. And I know he does this, he's got a pattern
For
going.
6 or 8.
Yeah, he's got a pattern. And I understand kids, that, I mean, I totally do. I'm not there, but, you know, but we did get his attention. He had never had an opportunity like that before where we called him in and said, you're coming here. If you're ever in arbitration, negotiation arbitration, put him on your turf, every time. And that's why I said we wasn't gonna go to you, you gonna come to us. Now, we had a young lady in the audience. We got time for questions and answers. Had a young lady in the audience, Dr. Lozano, Yvette Lozano. Dr. Yvette Lozano is the president of the Dallas County Republican Assembly, and which is one of the largest Republican organizations in Dallas County. And normally you look at those Dallas County deals and they're pretty dadgum liberal, you know, but Dr. Lozano is not. Anyway, Dr. Lozano, whenever it came time for questions and answers, you hope you remember this, Dr. Lozano said, Jeff, how many phone calls did you get for John Boehner? He said, your office takes those logs, don't they, and you write them down, and, you know, 1, 2, 3. How many did you get for John Boehner? He said, didn't get a one. Jeff, how many did you get for Louis Gomer? He said, hundreds.
Yeah, he's
Hundreds. Probably thousands. He said hundreds. Then he went in, he tried to divert it. I'd left, I had to go to a meeting. But anyway, he tried to divert it, I was told, and he says, well, he said, you know, he said, we're really gonna have to watch our demographics because the demographics are changing up a little bit. And he said, we're looking out here and we see all these Anglos and white folks and all this and gray hair. And he said, we really ought to be talking to Hispanics and talking to blacks and talking to, boy, Dr. Lozano jumped up and said, whoa, wait a minute. I just happen to be a single mom Hispanic. I don't fit in that category. What are you doing, Jeff? Well, anyway, she lit into him again. Okay, so he got through with all of that, and he got everybody out, and he took off, and he goes to friendly territory. He heads to Dallas, and he goes to a chamber meeting. And he gets up there in that chamber meeting, and he gets in there, and he's sailing through this little talk. He gets all through the talk. It comes time for Q&A. Pow! Dr. Lozano steps up again. She got him again. He didn't know she was in the audience, but she showed up again, and she said, I'm here again, and she said, I'm telling you right now, you should have voted for Louis Gomer, you know. So, anyway, do y'all have any questions? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to comment that when I heard Jeff down at the last town hall meeting in Mineola, he let something slip out of his bag when he said, I really like my job. And he's got what the doctors call a good bedside manner. You know, he gets up there and he makes everybody really feel good. And but he likes his job and he wants to keep it, and he keeps playing both sides because he wants to stay there forever until he's ready to quit.
Well,
That's his problem.
let me tell you a statement that he made at the Yellow Rose Restaurant in Terrell, Texas, exactly like you're talking about. He's in it. We had one of our little family meetings. You know, it's a little steering committee, 8 or 9 of us, you know. He gets up, it's all over with. He gets up and he stands up and he says, you know, he said, guys, I'm really blessed. He said, I am in Congressional District 5, and he says, I'm probably in one of the most conservative districts in the state of Texas, and I can probably keep my job as long as I want. When he said that, I mean, an arrow shot right through my heart when he said that. And you know what my thought was? You know what? I didn't say anything to him, but you know what my thought was? You are taking us for granted.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
You are taking us for granted. Don't you ever take us for granted. Well, you work for us, buddy. Huh? Yes, ma'am.
Who do you have that can run against him in that district? Or I'm assuming you have someone in mind.
I don't have anybody in mind, but I've had 3
somebody.
phone calls from 3 different people.
So there is some, because I
Oh.
have some other friends that are in Jeb's district.
Yeah.
And I'm not anymore, thank goodness, but
Yeah.
they were asking me the other day, they said, who is gonna run against Jeb? And I said, I don't know, but we'll start
Well,
asking.
you know, and in Jeb's defense, he is, when you looking at the scorecards in Washington DC, he's in the top 6. That's for conservative voters. But you know what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm hearing from the voters? What I'm hearing from people like
It's
yourself?
this.
You know what I'm hearing?
A group called the Center for Public Integrity.
Arrogance.
It's not a
Well,
conservative.
I went to his town meetings several years ago, and I quit going before we were moved to Louis. Simply for that, because I asked him a couple of questions, and he wouldn't answer them. He sidestepped every way he could, and it was a direct question. And I went, you know what, he's not telling, that he's only talking the talk, but he is not,
Well,
his actions are not.
They
bearing
all
out.
know, listen, they've all been to that politician school where
Oh,
they learn
yeah.
how to filibuster.
Oh, yeah.
And they
attorneys.
always have three or four little topics in mind that they can just talk on. And by the time they get through doing their talk, it's over. And then they gotta go.
Right, it's real simple. You just said. He admitted he got no calls for John, and he got hundreds for Louis, and he defied it. So I say, just that one vote alone, poof, because if he's
That's a
doing
really
that,
good thing.
No,
That's
this is,
a
I
true
want to
fact.
say something. I want to add something.
All right.
Ray, I gave a presentation to our group a little while ago about how they got these districts cut up. And in his district, I looked it up the other day when Anthony was talking about this, just to see where he was at. The Democrats didn't even run anybody in the last election in his district.
Right.
That's because that's in our district, okay? Then they have D districts. They've cut up the country. They got it pretty much segregated out, except for like the one where Colonel West was in. There's a few like that, but it's about 10, 12 districts in the whole 435. Okay, so I looked and he got 85% of the vote against 15 for a libertarian.
Yeah.
All right? So the answer is, in his head, he is there forever.
Yes.
Because
that's
there will,
exactly-
if there is no Republican running against him, because he's in a Republican district.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so
And
he
they're
has
gonna
to
leave
be
him
challenged.
alone.
That's right.
And I said this too, everybody should be challenged. We should challenge every incumbent, because Ralph Hall, I'll give you another statistic. Ralph Hall, who I believe was a Democrat up to about 1990, he is the first Republican incumbent in the state of Texas in a congressional district to lose his seat ever.
and he was there how many
Ever.
years?
Yeah.
So they are guaranteed these seats because they've cut it between the R's
Oh, yeah.
and the D's.
Well, see, that's that arrogant little comment that he made to me, taking us for granted. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you, everybody in this, and I know we just went through this on two times. We went through this with Scott Turner, with Joe Strauss.
Yep.
And then we went through it with Louis Gohmert and Boehner. But the Speaker of the House sets the agenda for the country.
Yep.
It sets the agenda for Texas, and it sets the agenda for the country. And they do that because the Speaker of the House gets to select every committee chair.
And he's a chair.
And he's a
And
chair.
he's a chair, so he's
Yes,
owned by
he's the
Boehner.
finance chair.
He's owned by Boehner.
Yes.
That's what.
Now, you look at, and finance chair, that's a big deal across the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Big business is giving him money
If he would have voted for Gohmert, he would have lost that chairmanship in
in a
6
New
seconds.
York minute.
In
Yes, he
6
would
seconds,
have.
he would have been gone.
But that's the deal, that Joe Strauss and Boehner, both are, that they set the agenda for the country through the power of those committees. And that's what we're fighting. Now, and I don't want to really get off on a rabbit trail here, but I can give you a great example. The state of Texas has 150 state reps. Okay, 150 districts. Okay? 98 Republicans, 52 Democrats. The Democrats all stick together.
Right.
They stick together like glue. When you get over to the 98, we have to divide that by 3. We have to divide that by 3. The first 38 out of that 3, the first 38, 39, whatever, solid, hardcore Democrats with an R in front of their name.
Yeah.
Solid, hardcore Democrats. The second 38 to 39, 40, whatever that number is mushy moderates in the middle, one way or the other. And and as it turned out, we had 19 stand up and vote for Scott. 19. Now, when you add that first number that I gave you, that first, say 38, 39 to 52, you get 80, 90 something
There's not
reps.
one.
All it takes is 76. All it takes is 76 votes and the speaker's in. Well, he's down there forever. As long as he's got those Democrats in his pocket, they're in lockstep with him. And Joe Stroud's a Democrat. He says he's a Republican. No, he's a solid, hardcore Democrat, just like that 39 people that votes right with him. And I can start calling names, Charlie Guerin, Byron Cook, we can just, Jim Otto. You can just start going down the line and I can tell you, most of these people who are over there in that Democrat category that stands there with Joe Stroud, but they run as Republicans. And they all run, I'm a conservative, I'll vote against Obamacare, I'll seal the border, I'll do all these kind of things. No. When they get in there, they start waffling. They start waffling.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I think you overestimated Henserling. This is Eagle Forum right here. The hundreds are up at the top, and
Yeah,
this is
he's
in
not up that
descending
high.
order.
Yeah.
He's not up that high.
What's he, where is he? Is
Oh,
it
he's
Eagle
way
Forum?
down.
He's there
Look
where it's
at
highlighted.
I can
See
tell
that?
you, if they're a committee
halfway
chair,
down.
What number is that?
He's way down. You count him. That's true.
Well,
Ray, I'll tell
I
you.
looked the other day and he was in the top 10.
Ray, I'll tell
But
you,
I may
if
be
you go
looking at different ones.
if you go to
2013,
FreedomWorks,
2014.
if you go to FreedomWorks, he's not there either.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if they're a committee chair,
Yeah.
they stand out like a sore thumb.
Believe me.
They are owned. They're
Believe me.
owned by the establishment. Every
Now-
single one of them.
I wanted to, yes, sir, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
He talked for 5 minutes about the World Bank and how bad it was. But then he voted and had his committee to vote to extend it for a year
Yes.
as a compromise to Mayor. He
There's
was
no
on the
compromise on that
committee
stuff.
to reconcile 4 years ago the budget. And he gave in totally to the Democrats.
Well, he's, that
because
omnibus
Mayor-
bill, all that stuff, they've given in. Our country is backed up. Where the cliff I was talking about? Yes, sir.
It's the
I
progressives.
didn't get something
That's
clear.
not the-
Maybe you said it and I didn't hear it. Maybe my ears are smaller than I think they are. When you had the meeting with him and he came to see you,
Yes, sir.
and you presented what you said you presented, which is wonderful. What was the result, his comment back at the end? I'm gonna do better, or what?
Oh, he said, I hope you will not take the opportunity to find somebody else to run against me.
Well, that's when you should,
Oh.
right
That's
there.
what he
It's an
said.
absolute must.
It's
He
a
did. That was
must.
his last comment.
It's a must.
See,
Have to.
they need to know that they're not so stable.
You do that to Jeb, and I'll guarantee you it'll make a lot of them decide
Well,
that they're
here,
not gonna mess
Here-
Well,
around.
the other thing is, why haven't some of the other districts done this? They're the only one that has really done it in the state of Texas.
well, no, what he's talking about is why haven't some of the Tea
You
Parties
guys grilled them
across
like
the
you
state
did.
of Texas
Oh,
pulled in we only had two representatives. We had Louis Gomer and we had, what's the guy's name, down in Houston, voted for Louis. Just Weber. Yeah, Weber. Then we had Louis voted for Louis and Weber voted for Louis. Only two in the state of Texas.
But see, I think that just puts the bullseye on their head for not voting for him.
Yeah.
Because now we
Well,
know who the
well,
rest of
see,
them
and that's
are.
what we've done. That's what we've done. We've sent this
You
out.
saw how it worked down in Austin with Scott.
Yeah.
We found out who the good conservatives are.
That's right. We made them stand up and actually call
Well,
them
that's the first vote in 43 years
43 years.
in Austin.
Yes, it is.
And no smoke-filled room, and they had to,
No. Guys, I'm gonna tell you, let me give you another example. And I'm not gonna call any names right now because I haven't got it all cleared in my mind, but
You're on tape.
what happened?
You're
You're
on
on
broadcast
tape.
live.
Well, that's fine.
It's broadcast live.
But what
actually.
happens is like right now, let me tell you how, and you can just look at this like our Texas state legislature is just a mini version of what goes on in Washington DC. Same kind of thing. Well, did we get a new rep down there, a new state rep or a new state senator? They've got guys designated to go in here and wine and dine and give them the
I'm
perks
sure
and
it
so
is.
forth. They've got, and I can tell you who it is over in the Senate. I've been told, I don't want to, Ross knows.
Yeah, Ross, no.
Anyway, they got Horseshoe Bay, they got resorts, they got golf, they've got Estes Park, Colorado, they've got condos in Florida, they've got it all. And they pull them in and soften them up. I was standing there at one of the elected officials when got a phone call and they said, "We got a $5,000 check for you." Okay. Well, and that's good. That goes on, there's donations for everybody. But I'm telling you, they get them in that little group down there, and all of a sudden, you're not a constituent anymore. You're a state senator. You're a state representative. You're now a member of the club.
You know what happened from the Metroplex? Help me with the name.
What? He knows.
Geo.
Who?
Geo.
Oh, yeah.
Geo was from the Dallas-Fort
Yeah.
Worth area, and we worked really hard,
For
and he
Geo.
was part of the conservatives. And all of a sudden, he picked his desk out just right up by Strauss, and guess who he didn't vote for?
On the floor.
On the floor. He said he was gonna vote for Turner, and then at the last minute, they're already told him he can start looking for another job, because they're getting ready.
No, they've already
coming.
got a primary opponent for it.
Mhm.
Yep,
These are
Already.
business cards for the guys you want to hire over here
Anthony
and
Cassidy.
everyone that's going to be looking for a job. These are all the people that voted for Strauss.
There you go.
Well, it goes the same thing, and again, it's the same thing that goes on in Washington DC, it goes on down here.
yeah,
And you
but
would
we can
think,
control this here
you would-
locally
yeah,
better.
you would think that Texas is such a red state, that's all you ever hear from our government. Oh, we got the job growth, we got this, we got it all, everybody wants to come to Texas. And yeah, they're all coming to Texas because the media has put out all that, and here they come.
Yep.
But who's coming? And we got the legal ones coming from the north and they're crossing the Red River, and we got the illegal ones coming from the south and they're crossing the Rio Grande, and Texas is getting inundated.
You got 5,000 coming from Toyota in California.
Yeah, and
Damn, California.
I was told the other day that 1,000 people a day are moving to Austin, Texas. 1,000 a day.
If that's only half true.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy,
Right. Our founders were never more correct when they said the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And if you listen to Ted Cruz's YouTube channel, the punchline on that is he can't fix anything. It's got to be you and you and you.
He's counting
You
on
got
it.
to get up and do.
One of the greatest Americans I know stood right here and talked to this group. Chris Ann Hall.
And she's coming
I'm telling
21st
you
in
that-
Tyler.
I'm telling you, that girl is on fire.
Yeah, we
And
want
she
to-
knows,
we
if
need
you
to.
haven't seen Chris Ann,
Oh, she's the
she
one about
has
the tons.
she has a God-given delivery system.
Yep.
That whenever we had a campaign school, and y'all had one in Tyler too, but we had a campaign school in Forney, and the campaign school is 6.5 hours. Six or 6.5 hours.
The one in
Started at
Tyler's
lunch.
8:30 to 4:30.
We started at lunch at noon, and we went to 6 o'clock. We had 112 people when we started at noon. We had 111 when we ended at 6. 6 hours. I mean, you just sit on the edge of your seat and listen to this. Now, I've got something, I'm doing a commercial now. I gave you a piece of paper. I want to invite everybody here up on February the 16th to hear John Antel. John Antel is a historian, who's written 5 or 6 books. John Antel is one of the most compelling speakers you'll ever hear. And what John Antel's program is Christmas Day, 1776.
But that's awesome.
And my caption over that is, what kind of leadership does it take to birth a nation? Oh, John Antel puts it in perspective like you've never heard it before in your life. It's beautiful, beautiful. This man can tell a story. And he doesn't need this, he doesn't need PowerPoint, he doesn't need all that. He just gets up there and he starts talking about it, and it's beautiful. He talks about leadership and how it relates to what George Washington did, and what we had to go through, what those troops had to go through on Christmas Day, Christmas night, Christmas Day, all the way up to whenever they got into, what was the town?
Trenton.
Remember? And when the Hessens were there.
Trenton.
Trenton.
Oh, it'll make you cry. But I'd love to have all of you come up and hear. And you've got it right here, and then on the back, I've got directions. All you gotta do is get over there and get on 20. And when you get the other side of 34 up at Terrell, when you cross 34 right there, in Terrell, when you get out there just about 3 miles the other side of that, 20 splits, 80 goes to the right, go to 40, and 20 goes to the left. Take the left. And then 1641 comes up in about 2 or 3 miles. And that's where it's gonna be, right there. So you just get on 20 and you're there almost. But I'd love to have everybody come and hear that. It's really worth it.
Right, what we need to do to Hinterling is what happened to Eric Cantor. It's a very similar situation. He was the minority whip. And he thought he was really hot stuff. He was in Boehner's pocket and all that. But
Right.
his constituents threw him out.
Yes.
And we almost threw Joe Strauss out. Bob was there walking in San Antonio, Texas. Anthony and I were. I don't know if you all were or not. But we walked the streets inviting people to vote for Matt Beebe.
Yeah.
To throw Joe Strauss out at his district level. So.
Well, we threw out Dooley.
Well,
Bob Dooley.
Yeah.
Yes,
Bob,
we
they
did.
thought, there's no way we'll ever get rid of that guy. And they outspent us. I think, by the time the election was over, I said Bob Hall, by the time he got all these donations and everything in, it was somewhere $60,000-$70,000 is what it cost. Dooley spent almost $600,000.
It isn't
Like 10
money.
to 1.
Huh?
It isn't money.
No, it's not money. You know what it is? It's boots on the ground. We're the voters.
Well, money is important.
Well, you
It's
can
important,
equate
but
that
it
to
doesn't
dollars,
guarantee you
Because
anything.
those boots on the ground give
Yes,
personal.
yes,
Look
they
how
do.
much, look how much Cantor spent.
Well, I was just going to tell you about the walking in San Antonio. Our polling showed that Matt Beebe was within the margin where he could beat Joe Strauss. Right before the election, we were feeling like we were going to do it. Joe Strauss's mother donated $2 million to the Republican Party of San Antonio. And then things happened. I'm telling you, elections are not always
Does
bad.
everybody know what Joe Strauss does in his other life? What's he do in his other life? Joe Strauss and his family has been in the gambling business for almost 90 years. The gambling business. And I'm talking about big gambling. You've heard slot machine Joe Strauss, that's him. They're in
That
the
big racetrack, right?
Racetracks. He's got the Rotima Downs down in San Antonio. They've got one in Laredo. They've got one down in Corpus. That's what they do. And he's got a steady stream. It's hard to put your finger on because they've started hiding those packs. But he's got a good stream of money coming from Las Vegas and New Jersey. Does anybody know, by the way, what Steve Monasteri, our state chairman, was doing before he came back to Texas to run for state chair? Anybody know?
Gambling?
Anybody know? He was running the fight game in New Jersey.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Huh? running the fight game in New Jersey.
So why is he
He
gonna
was
be
a lot-
chairman for Rand Paul then?
Now,
Really?
well,
He's gonna be the
That's
he's
the-
the
Who knows?
chairman. Yeah, he's the new
don't know.
campaign chairman.
but I'm gonna tell you, all you Google it. You don't believe, hey, it's there. It's there. But who brought him back to Texas?
Joe Strauss.
Strauss?
Bingo. I mean, they're all connected. All we gotta do is connect the dots. You know, they're not as smart. And right now, technology has brought us up to par.
Mhm.
We can chase them down now. It just takes a little time, a little effort. We can chase them down, and we're going to. That's what our Tea Party's doing. Our Tea Party is doing research. We've got writers. You need to have writers. You need to have people writing to the editor. You need people to get on there. And you need to do Facebook, and you need to do Twitter. All you guys that's got this gray hair up here, you might as well go ahead and get into the new age, because that's where it is. And get as many friends on there as you can, because that's how we spread the word. Now, we've got another situation right now. I don't want to overdo my time.
No, you're
No,
fine.
you're good.
I don't
You're
want
fine,
to
Ray.
do my time, but we've got another situation going in Texas right now that I want to tell you about that is critical. In my opinion, it's critical. We got a state representative in Temple, Texas, Molly White. Molly went last Friday was Muslim Day at the Capitol. Y'all heard about this?
Oh, yeah.
Muslim Day at the Capitol. So Molly gets this email from this group from CARE. CARE is the Muslim group. CARE is connected with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
CARE is connected, and all these terrorist organizations all over the place, and they're saying, oh, we're a peaceful organization and all that. But anyway, she gets this email that they were coming. So she decides, well, here's what I'm gonna do. Before she leaves instructions for her staff. She took an Israeli flag and she put it on the reception desk. And she put instructions. She said, if any of my Muslim guests come in our office, you treat them with respect, dignity. You don't get out of line, but you ask them to politely say, will you step up and say the Pledge of Allegiance and sign on to the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America? And will you denounce terrorist organizations and terrorism in the United States of America? Will you do that? And will you support Israel?
Yep.
Every liberal organization in the state of Texas is after her now. They're blowing holes. And Joe Strauss says, oh, you can't do that?
Oh, yes, you.
Oh, you know.
You would think
yes.
him being a Jew.
Okay.
You would think he would support
Well, anyway,
Israel.
here's the thing.
No, they don't.
Here's the thing. We are organizing to stand with Molly. I talked to her last night on the phone for 40 minutes. She says, Ray, she said, here's what you do. What can we do? She said, get everybody whenever, it's coming out today in the Texas Tribune, I think. And when I left,
I don't have a Twitter account.
I kept looking at the Texas Tribune to see if it was
on
out.
Texas Tribune, is that on what Twitter?
Yeah, but Molly made a statement. She wrote out a statement of her stand on this issue. And she says, I am not backing down.
Don't do it.
I
Don't
am
back
not
out.
backing down. I am not
Don't
going to back up. I
down.
will not apologize.
That's right.
And so the Texas Tribune said, well, we'll publish it. Well, I hope they do in every word that she says.
That's
But
what we're
anyway,
gonna
as soon
do.
as we get that, we're going to start forwarding that out to everybody, and we're going to put Joe Strauss's phone number on there, and we're going to say, call Joe Strauss and say, I support Molly. 512-463-1000. That's Strauss's number. You bet. Molly White, right there.
There you go.
A great American,
Post that
great Texan.
tomorrow on Facebook.
Do emails do any good?
Emails that do, yeah, and listen,
Okay.
the name of the game is communication.
Yeah.
And if
I'd
we
rather
can
do
get
an email
somebody,
than call 'em.
you know, Samuel Adams, I hope I'm saying that right, you know, I can't quote that famous quote that he did, but you know, it doesn't take a great majority, it just takes a small group that's fired up, you know, to get out there and get with them.
She said on her Twitter page, or Twitter site an hour ago, she says, I never thought comment on Texas Muslim Capital Day was going to go viral. So TexasTribune.org, which is, I'm on the Texas Tribune.
Has it come out yet?
It says, I'm fixing to look at it, it says, yep, I think so. 02/02/2015, yes.
Now, so they published it.
I'm pulling it up.
Okay, pull it up.
Pull it up over here.
Okay, yeah, you got,
But I'm not
Twitter.
real
I have a
Just
Facebook, but I don't
particular-
have Twitter.
She says, after lighting a firestorm of criticism last week for suggesting that Muslims visiting her legislative office would be asked to renounce Islamic terrorist groups and publicly announce allegiance to America and our laws, State Representative Molly White said Monday she has nothing to apologize for, though she might have used her words differently.
Well, she's standing strong. She
No, she's
says,
not gonna back down.
no, she told me last
Sometimes
night, she
I
said,
think
Ray,
he
I'm not
is
backing
forceful
down.
for her.
So, and that's rare, folks. You know, that's what they try to do. They try to marginalize you and make you start apologizing, and then you look like a fool. And that's what they want to do.
So if you don't call them and give them the backup they need, they lose.
They do.
tend to
That's
lose
that
their
right
backbone.
there. And that's what I'm saying. You know, and like when we was out working for Bob Hall and working on his team, you know, as volunteers, I'd say, look here, here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, 20 times 10, that's how many votes we've got here. 20 times 10, because you got an influence with 10 people at least.
Oh, yeah.
You go out there and you get those 10 people and you say, you gotta go vote on election day. I'm coming after you and I'm not gonna let you rest if you don't go vote on election
We
day.
need to get elected to chairman, party, precinct chairman, positions too.
Yeah.
Because that's very important, because you're on the executive committee of your, Smith County, Anthony's on the executive, those
Well,
people.
my point is, right here in this
Control it.
room, right here in this room, we have the power of 10. And putting that, all you gotta do is do like the Democrats do. They just fire up somebody and they use the term passion.
Yeah.
You know, they say, oh, we've got an emotional issue that we've gotta take care of. Well, we do. It's called our country.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to fire ourselves up and get out there and do it. Because they're I'm sure not gonna help us.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I got the phone numbers for every precinct chair in Texas, and I started calling them, and I tried to get some other people to call that list. But it was amazing how many of them would talk to you and say, yeah, we gotta go for Stroud. So if we can get every precinct GOP committee to endorse something, I mean, and make a stink out of it, you know, and tweet, Facebook, email, I mean, because we are the people, and those guys aren't listening to us.
There were at least.
They're listening to the
20 or
money and the
25
politics, they're not listening to the people and the votes.
There were at least 20 or 25 party, GOP organizations, county organizations that endorsed, Turner.
Go
No, I'm talking Turner.
Turner,
They
Scott
ought to
Turner.
get after their people, the people that are elected in those, and make the fire really hot, because they need to say, your county GOP endorsed Ted Turner, and why did you vote for Strauss?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, 40% of the population of Texas was represented by precinct chairs that were supporting Turner. None of them were supporting
We need
Strauss.
to make it hot.
I had the opportunity to go to Louisiana and work as well as Anthony and Mary Lou. Was there anybody else in here that did that?
In spirit.
And, well, anyway, we went to Louisiana and we worked for, whatever his name was that won, B. Landau. And we had the opportunity to look at a new type of software that we can use on the doorsteps. And it's unbelievable, people. If we can get that, and I think we can, if we can get that and get it in your hands, the next time we go around, I mean, if we've got, you know, if it's Henschling or whoever it is, we'll bring out that software because it tells you exactly where you are all the time. You can look at a blue bubble and there you are. It tells you about the house that you're fixing to go to, who's in it, how many voters are in there, how many times they voted before. You got all this background information. And you got the name and the address of almost everybody there. And you walk up, Mr. Smith, it's so good to see you. I'm here, I'm just doing a survey. Would you just take a minute just to do a survey?
And the best thing to do is if you talk to their neighbor and have their name say, I
Well,
just
yeah,
talked to
yeah,
Mr.
I mean,
Jones.
you
know,
of course you got
your
the
neighbor.
neighbors' names. You got it all right here in front of you, and it's on a little notebook like this. It's all electronic. You don't have to shuffle papers or anything. It's all right there for you. And of course, it won't be long, they'll all have it. And then we'll be competing, but still, we've got it, and we can really make a change. And then I
Truth
was
is gonna
really
trump
impressed.
money.
Yeah.
If we get
I
enough
was
truth out there.
Really impressed with that software. Well, I guess,
One other thing, we've got the vote tomorrow against Obamacare,
mhm.
but what is the GOP now saying? They've got to drop everything that has to do with border security and abortion, so we can concentrate on doing away with Obamacare.
Okay, let me,
Well-
I know the border is
Chad Kent.
another one of your strong points.
well,
Says likes
let me
process.
finish with this about the
Everything
border.
on, that's on my friend's.
Oh.
About the border.
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
Just tell y'all one story.
Chad Kent likes, yeah.
Up at
Just
Rockwall,
rest on it.
Texas, at 205 and I-30, there's a quick stop, not a quick stop, but there's a fuel stop. 205 and I-30, right over here is the new Luby's,
That's
right
right.
over here is the fuel stop.
Facebook.
Y'all seen it before, if
See, I
you've
don't
all
know.
gone up there.
That's Ross's Facebook.
Okay.
7 days a week, 3 to 5 buses a day, fully loaded Greyhound type buses, unmarked, come into that fuel stop. They've got it fully loaded with illegals. They load them up 50 miles south of Laredo, Texas, in Mexico. They're issued, I don't know how many brand new $100 Ben Franklins, right there. They come across the border, they've got a couple of fuel stops between here and there. This is one of their stops, right there, at that fuel stop. They get out of that bus, all those illegals get out of that bus, they go in that fuel stop and buy their chips and dips with those new $100 bills. We've interviewed them, we've taken pictures, we've got the whole thing coming up here. Now, the buses are unmarked, they got numbers on them. They're out of the buses are run by a group called Southwest Keys. Southwest Keys. You know what Southwest Keys is? It's the new name for Acorn.
I was gonna say, we've
Ah.
talked
Yes,
about this.
it's the new name for Acorn.
Are you gonna put those
Yes.
interviews out, Bob?
Southwest
Okay.
Keys.
Where's that
Ma'am?
fuel
Are
stop?
you gonna put those interviews out
205 and I-30.
on your Facebook page or email?
I can't, I don't have them today, but I can get them. Doug McDougal was the guy that interviewed them and put them on tape. Okay? Now,
We need to broadcast it.
we,
Yeah,
not only that, they leave there and they go straight to Chicago. There's a young lady by the name of Sharon Roberts that was a Texan that moved to Chicago. She just happened to move right across the street from the immigration office. Now, she's up there taking pictures of it and letting us know what's going on, Bob. They're dropping them off, they go in, they do their processing, then they take them out to an army base that's been abandoned. And it's been revitalized by the federal government, and they're dropping all those illegals up there, right there. Now, folks, that's one highway in the United States.
Right.
How many of these things are going, 3 to 5 times a day there's buses. In Southwest Keys, the Southwest Keys is based
All
in
white.
Jupiter,
All
Florida.
white.
Look it up on the internet. It's there. Southwest Keys, Jupiter, Florida.
Right.
Yes.
I got something to add to this. I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but the United States Treasury Inspector General, in his report about the IRS, has said that there's $7 billion a year in the 2013 tax year. He just reported in his new report. His old one was $4.6 billion. Now it's $7 billion a year in illegals filing tax returns and getting refunds to the total $7 billion.
So, my wife knows something about that.
You know about that?
She did the filings for those illegals at Sunset High School in Dallas.
And it all
And you
came,
know what they do? They take their student ID number, and then they add 3 numbers on the end, just random.
no, it's worse than that.
Social Security.
The
Boom.
IRS created their own number called an ITIN number, Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. And all of those applications for ITIN numbers are processed at the IRS office in Austin for the entire nation.
Yeah.
It was a person who worked there and was supposed to accept or reject these applications who was the whistleblower. And now that guy has sacrificed his promotions and his future in the IRS because he came out for it foursquare. You can go on the internet and get all this stuff. It's unbelievable.
And the IRS
And
is
the
doing
IRS
nothing.
told them, just push them through. I don't want to hear about phony stuff. That's where you have out of all the claims, and it's done one way. It's extra dependence, some sort of a child care credit for extra dependence.
They've got
They
all
do the
kinds
same
of
thing.
credits and back in the, you know, they make $4,000 a year, and then they file their income tax and they get back $6,000,
Yeah.
you know?
Or more.
Yeah, or more. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Sonia and I were driving to Austin the other day, and we left Waxahachie, and we started counting from Waxahachie down to Temple. 7 buses. We counted 7 buses on the way going north.
What license plates they have, Florida?
They got them, it's just random on the license plates because they get them from all over the country. But the thing about it is, we do know this, they take them all the way up to Chicago, they drop them off, and then they deadhead that bus all the way back down to Mexico again.
Go
To
pick
get
up
another
another
load.
load.
To pick up another load.
Well, we were in Van, 7 buses came through one night. You know, Van's not on the regular route for these
It's
buses.
on I-20
But
now.
they turned and they turned on
Well-
from 110, went going straight to I-20.
Bob Hall and I got in a
Nice.
caravan of them on I-20 between Terrell and Canton. We got in a caravan of them, and we started taking pictures. I've got the pictures right here in my phone, but on my telephone if anybody wants to see them. We started taking pictures of them, and we got the license number. Now, let me tell you how we did this. We got the license number, and these were white vans loaded with kids. And we kept thinking, we thought it was a funeral at first because it was a caravan of all white vans. And so when we started looking, there's all Hispanics. And I said, man, this must be one of those things. So we got the license plate of the van, and I know a private eye. And so I called the private eye driving along with the van. I called him up, I gave him the license plate number, and I said, run it. He ran it, came back Southwest Keys, Jupiter, Florida.
Uh-huh.
Southwest Keys, Jupiter, Florida. Another word, it's the new term for acorn.
So then Soros is behind it.
Oh,
Big time.
yeah.
How best to
Yes,
destroy
sir.
this country.
I can understand asking any candidates or public officials to express their allegiance to the United States or the Constitution. Why would you ask anyone to express allegiance to any foreign country?
Well, you don't. You don't. She put that on her desk, on that reception desk, because of every time you turn around, the Muslims are wanting to annihilate Israel. And that's why she did that.
Well, she had an American flag and,
Yes, yes, she
it was, she
A
didn't
US
just
flag.
She didn't say
put-
pledge allegiance
yes,
to
US
Israel.
flag.
SW.
Yeah, both.
Right, SW.
Pardon?
keys.
Yeah.
That's tantamount what amounts to one writer once said, you can tell who runs a country by whoever's spoken of only in whispers.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but I tell you what, I stand behind Molly. She's one of a kind. But she was doing it, she's wanting to get under somebody's skin when she did that.
Well, she's a mother and a housewife.
Michael,
She's not a career politician, and
I'm trying
that's
to
why
find
she's
this.
standing up, because if she doesn't get elected
Southwest
again,
Keys.
it's no big
Okay.
deal,
I'm
because she's
trying to
not
put it up
going
there,
there
but
for a
I'm
not- Okay,
lifetime
here's what you
career.
do.
You said to Google it.
Okay, do Southwest Keys and Acorn.
SOUTHWES.
Southwest Keys and Acorn. Do that, see what you get.
Slash Obama.
Don't confuse it.
Southwest Keys program.
Acorn for
Acorn.
illegal aliens meet Southwest Keys, yeah.
There you go. That's it.
And it's swkey.org.
Open doors to opportunities, everybody that votes for Obama.
That's it.
Isn't
But you can do Southwest Keys and Acorn, and there's programs in there that'll tell you what Acorn did and what this is doing, and it'll say that, it says this is the new Acorn.
What's the name of that guy that has that? He used to be a preacher. He came to the Tyler GOP, and he houses in groups of 1,600, a lot of these kids, I think. And he said, and I had it on tape and I lost it somehow, when that train shut down the Beast, he lost like 90% of his incoming kids, and, you know, he thought it was gonna put him out of business.
Well, he was housing those kids.
So that
man.
train is the key.
Yeah. Well, they're putting them on planes now, too.
Mr. Pastor?
Last thing I want to say to you is, number one, please, if you will, y'all can come. I don't know if y'all have ever heard the definition of Tea Party. What a Tea Party is, y'all have heard that before?
Terrorists,
Huh?
terrorists.
Terrorized enough already.
No. This is my definition of a Tea Party, just in case you want to know what a Tea Party is. Okay? Organized teams of like-minded, patriotic, conservative, Judeo-Christians, united together to save our country from a tyrannical government leader whose mission is to destroy the Constitution, erode the very foundation of our economy and our traditional American values. With the onslaught of attacks on our Christian religion, it's about time we told the nation who we are.
Amen.
We're not teabaggers, we're not occupiers, we're not radical. For the most part, we're Judeo-Christians. We love our God, we love our country, we love our family. Plain and simple, we're going to dig in. And if the Marxist, progressive, seculars want to declare war on Christians, they've tried that before. Let the revolution begin. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in securing our borders. We believe in a balanced budget. And most of all, we believe in personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And if the progressive seculars want to find us, we meet each and every Sunday and throughout the week in every community in America. We're not ashamed of who we are. In my opinion, that's a Tea Party.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Good.
Thank y'all for inviting me down here.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Ray.